Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we've really dug into a bunch of sources all about RC tire prep and care. It sounds basic, but it's crucial.
Absolutely. It's, the only thing connecting your car to the track or the trail or whatever, and how you prep them. Game changer, according to everything we read.
Right. So our mission here is to pull out the key stuff from all this material, just the essentials, so you can get like the best possible performance and make those tires last longer too.
Yeah, we're going from taking them out of the bag right through to storing them after a run.
Okay, so where do we start? What did the sources really hammer home first?
Mounting and gluing. That was the big one. Get that wrong, and, well, nothing else really matters much.
Bad bond just ruins it all. And, okay, before glue, there's this whole ritual, right? The sources talked about trimming flash.
Yeah, flash. It's that tiny bit of extra rubber, usually right on the tire bead, where it sits in the wheel.
Ah, okay. Left over from the mold.
Exactly. And even a tiny piece means the tire doesn't sit perfectly flat. It creates a gap.
Which messes up the glue bond.
Totally. Weakens it right from the start. So, yeah, trimming that off carefully is step one, precision.
Got it. Trim the flash. Then cleaning. I thought a quick wipe was fine, but the sources seemed pretty specific about not using regular cleaners.
Right, because new tires and wheels have mold release agent on them. It stops stuff sticking in the mold.
But it also stops glue sticking later.
Bingo. Glue's kryptonite. And, yeah, regular household cleaners, they often leave their own film. Invisible, but it's there.
So what's the fix?
The consensus was something that cleans and evaporates completely, like isopropyl alcohol. Gets the gunk off, leaves nothing behind.
Okay, alcohol it is. Clean surfaces. Then keying, scuffing the surfaces. Why do that?
That's about mechanical grip. You're basically roughing up the surface just a tiny bit. Think microscopic scratches.
So the glue flows into those little valleys?
Exactly. Gives the glue physical anchors to hold on to, adding to the chemical bond, makes it much stronger.
Makes sense. Flash trimmed, surfaces clean, keyed up. Now, foams and putting the tire on the wheel. But before glue, this dry run spin test, sources really emphasize that.
Oh, yeah. Critical QC step. Put the tire and foam on the wheel, no glue, pop it on an axle or balancer, and give it a spin.
Teching for wobble.
Exactly. Wobble, hop, anything uneven. Maybe the foam's twisted or the tire's not seated right. You fix it now.
Because once it's glued...
It's permanent. That wobble stays and it'll cause vibrations, handling issues, you name it. Learned that the hard way myself.
I bet. Okay, so fix it before the point of no return. Now, the gluing itself, it's CA glue, super glue, basically.
Yeah, but the hobby stuff usually has additives.
Yeah.
Makes it a bit less brittle, more impact resistant, which you definitely need in RC.
Right. And viscosity, thickness, the sources seem to agree on medium.
Generally, yeah.
Yeah.
Medium viscosity is kind of the sweet spot. Thick enough you can control it, but thin enough it still wicks. Flows into the tiny gap between the bead and the wheel by capillary action. Gets deep in there for a really good bond. Too thick, it might just sit on the surface.
Okay, wicking. And this two-stage rule they mentioned sounds important.
Crucial for avoiding a mess. Don't try to glue both sides of the tire at once. Do one side on all your tires first.
Let it fully cure.
Completely. Give it time. Then go back and carefully do the other side if you try to flip it and glue the back right away.
Glue everywhere.
Pretty much. Gravity is not your friend there.
Got it. Patience. And apply sparingly. Not big blobs.
Definitely not. Thin, even layers are key. CA cures using moisture from the air. A big blob. The outside skins over, but the inside stays gummy and weak. Thin layers cure faster and stronger all the way through.
And I think one source mentioned a final little seal.
Yeah, just a tiny bead run along the outside edge where the tire meets the wheel rim. Seals out dirt and moisture that might try to creep under the bead over time. Helps protect the main bond.
Okay, that covers getting the structure right. Solid bond. Now, performance tuning. Venting and balancing.
All right, moving beyond just sticking it together. How does the tire actually work? The source is called RC tires, a semi-pneumatic system. Air matters.
Trapped air. So why vent? Why let it out?
Okay, think about it. If the air is totally sealed inside, when the tire hits a bump and compresses, where does that air go?
Nowhere. It pushes back.
Exactly. It makes the tire act like an overinflated basketball. It just bounces off stuff instead of conforming and gripping.
Ah, I see. So venting lets the air escape quickly.
And return just as quickly. So the tire and the foam inside can actually compress, absorb the bump, and keep the tread on the ground. More grip.
Makes perfect sense. And there was a secondary benefit. Debris.
Yeah, especially if you vent the tire tread itself. Helps fling out water, mud, little bits of stuff to get inside.
Which brings up that debate. Tire venting versus wheel venting. What was the conclusion?
Generally, tire venting seemed preferred, especially if you run in wet or muddy conditions.
Why the tire tread specifically?
Centrifugal force. As the wheel spins fast, holes in the tread actively throw debris outwards. Holes in the wheel rim, though.
Can scoop stuff in?
Yeah, especially water. It can get trapped inside, making the wheel heavy and unbalanced.
Okay, tire venting it is, usually. And the tool. A leather punch. Not a drill.
Right. A leather punch makes a nice, clean, round hole, less likely to tear the rubber later. A knife or drill can start a little rip that just gets bigger.
Good tip. Okay, next up. Balancing. Seems like something people skip. Is it really that big deal?
Depends on your driving. For slow rock crawling, probably not essential. But for anything with speed racing, bashing, oh yeah, it's critical.
Why critical? Just a little wobble.
It's more than wobble.
Yeah.
At high RPMs, even a small imbalance creates massive vibration. It just hammers everything connected to the wheel.
Bearings, suspension.
Bearings, linkages, shocks, drive shafts. It wears everything out faster. Plus, it hurts handling consistency. So yeah, for speed, balancing is a must, according to the sources.
So how do you do it? The sources made it sound pretty simple.
It is. You use a wheel balancer tool,
Right.
put the wheel on, the heavy spot will naturally settle at the bottom. So you mark the light spot, which is directly opposite, at the top. Then you add small amounts of balancing putty or clay to that light spot.
Until it stays put wherever you stop it.
Exactly. When it doesn't automatically rotate to a heavy light side anymore, it's balanced.
And it's also feedback on your gluing, right?
Totally. A perfectly mounted and glued tire often needs very little weight. If you're adding a huge lump of putty, something probably went a bit wonky during assembly.
Interesting. Okay, last section. Advanced stuff and long-term care. Break in. New tires aren't grippy out of the box.
Often not. They have that smooth, shiny surface from the mold. Sources recommended scuffing them up a bit first.
Just sandpaper.
Yeah, light sandpaper, or even a quick run on pavement. Just roughs up the surface, exposes fresh rubber, gives you better grip right away.
And traction compounds. Sauce, that's more for racers.
Primarily, yeah. It's a tuning aid.
Yeah.
The sources explain they work in a couple of ways, either by chemically softening the rubber for more flex and bite, or by adding a temporary sticky layer. Sometimes both.
So you adjust grip for the track conditions.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Not usually needed for bashing around, but essential for competitive racing.
Okay. And finally, taking care of them after the run. Maintenance and storage seem key to making them last.
Absolutely. Don't just throw them in the box dirty and wet. Clean them reasonably soon after running.
But then soak them.
Right. Avoid submerging them if possible, especially for long periods. Water can saturate the foams, mess them up, make them unbalanced. Just wipe or brush them off.
And storage. Why airtight bags?
Air and UV light are enemies of rubber. They cause oxidation, makes the rubber dry out, get hard, lose its grip, become brittle.
Ah, so the bag keeps the air out.
Yep. Store them clean, in airtight bags, ideally somewhere cool and dark. It makes a huge difference in how long they stay usable and maintain their performance.
Oh.
And store them lying flat,
Flat. Why?
so the foams don't develop flat spots from the car's weight sitting on them for weeks. Keeps everything round.
Okay, so let's pull this all together. Looking back at all these sources.
The big takeaway is that tires aren't just simple hoops of rubber. They're performance components.
Yeah.
And all these little steps, the careful gluing, the venting, the balancing, the care, they add up.
It turns them into something reliable, consistent.
Exactly. You get more control, better handling, maybe save some money because parts aren't getting vibrated to death, and your tires just perform better for longer. It's worth the effort.
So thinking about all those meticulous details we just covered, trimming microscopic flash, managing invisible air, balancing tiny weights, what other maybe overlooked small factor in your RC setup could be secretly limiting your car's full potential? Something to think about.